Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your host, Brittany Baker, and you are tuning in to Tech Me As I Am, the podcast bringing self love to corporate America. And the only thing that we care about is you being true to your authentic self. So let's be real, let's be different, and let's keep it courageous, y'all. Okay, in today's episode, we have the amazing Shontay Lundy. I'm really excited about this episode because I really care about the journey, about Black women, Black people in general, just being entrepreneurs, because it comes with so much. And so Shontay Lundy is the CEO and creator and founder of Black Girl Sunscreen, which I'm sure you have all seen in stores. In 2016, she became tired of using sunscreen that basically had that white residue. I know for a fact that's happened to me. My skin turned purple, and I was like, I'm not walking outside like this. So I'm so glad that she's been able to solve this problem for us and our melanated skin. So Shontay, so happy to have you here today. Thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah, no problem. I'm real mellow right now. It's winding down. It's towards the end of the day, so
Well, hey, it's not the end of the day for me yet, but when I get there, I will be on your page soon enough. So, I wanted to start off by kind of just learning a little bit about you and how you got started. Like, what made you want to just say, you know what, I want to see sunscreen out there for people of color.
it started some time ago. I think like 7 years, coming up in November. Can you believe
Wow,
it? I
yeah,
can.
that's a
The time has gone by really quickly for at least me and my team. So yeah, it started, 7 years ago, and because I'm a traveler, I've lived in a couple different states, hot states, and I consider myself a woman of the sun. So I love to be outdoors, whether it's going to the beach, hiking, anything outdoors. I love fresh air, and my friends would encourage me to wear sunscreen, and the response was, do you see my complexion? Because the sunscreen that you're giving me is making me look crazy. And that would be the verbiage that I would use. Not a ghost, not a silvery fish, but more of like I just didn't feel comfortable.
hmm
And one day I decided just to jump on onto Google and put in keywords, such as sunscreen for dark skin, sunscreen for eczema skin, sunscreen for Black girls, Black women, and came up with generic brands, right? So that meant to me that there was no company, no brand, no product that spoke to Black women and women of color. And then I asked myself three questions. The first one was, will other Black women wear sunscreen? Do they? Second was, do I have the resources to make a product? And I use the word product very specifically because I consider Black Girl Sunscreen a business. It's twofold, a product and a business. But anyway, at the time, that was my thinking. Do I have the resources to create a product? And then third, um, do I have the confidence? So, that's how this all came about 7 years later.
You said a key thing there. You said the confidence. I want to know a little bit more about that. Because obviously, like being a business owner, being a founder, it does take a level of confidence and grit and resiliency. Which we say Black Girl Magic all the time because that kind of embodies that for me when I think about Black Girl Magic. What helped you having that confidence, and getting yourself to that point and going over some hurdles I'm sure you've had to deal with.
Yeah, throughout life, not just for Black Girl Sunscreen, but I've always been faced with situations where I've had to, give myself a talk, positive self talk in the mirror, and reassure myself that I can do it. And the key to Black Girl Sunscreen at the moment was, okay, how do you block out the minutia? Meaning, there's going to be people that will say, oh, this will never work, or how do you think you're going to do that, or there's no market for it, and just negativity. So that's what I meant by confidence is really about withstanding what others have to say and think about what they cannot do and what
Mm,
you are willing to do.
mhm.
Um, So that's what it was. That's the confidence piece. I mean, every day I think I have to wake up with confidence, right? Like, speaking with you, I felt good about it, but I would say maybe, 4 years ago, I might have had butterflies. There are still some situations where I'm, slightly nervous. So I think we all go through it. It's more of how do we overcome it? And it's about telling yourself that you can do it. And if you are going to commit to a goal, then be prepared for it all, not
Mhm.
just the good days. And you're an inspirational or this is amazing. Also, understanding that there will be some critiques.
Yep. I think the same thing can be applied in life. It's, I mean, you're dealing, you're the ebbs and flows of life. You're dealing with that every single day. There's going to be so many things that come at you, personal, business, work, whatever it is. Like, we have to deal and process with these things. And one thing I'm seeing as a common theme when I talk to people is the anchoring in oneself and being able to get through all of that. Like, whether you're at work, whether you're starting a company, whether you're dealing with people or personal things, it's anchoring in yourself and giving yourself those affirmations. So thank you for reinforcing that for our listeners. What I guess another question I had is, as a Black woman, what do you feel like you've done to help ground yourself and keeping yourself anchored in the goals that you've had to see this vision come to life?
Yeah, I would say that the people around me,
Mm.
um, and my level of responsibility to them keeps me really grounded and focused. Now, no one is telling me on a day to day, you must do these things. But when I look around my, 70 foot, 100 square foot, headquarters and 20 employees, I am like, okay, we cannot, we will not fail, right? They've entrusted me with their livelihood and I'm here to provide that. So, that helps me stay focused. Grounded is more or less of me just being a girl from Newburgh, New York, which is a small city in upstate New York, and realizing that there's so many things possible, but you have to believe in yourself in order to do it. You have to take the necessary steps, and that could be leaving home. Right? I left college. I left for college at 17, which was quite some time ago, and I didn't go back home. I went right to business school and I stayed in South Florida, and then I went into the workforce and worked for 12, 13 years in corporate America, and then, thought about Black Girl Sunscreen. So there are a lot of like big girl decisions I had to make and stick with it. So I'd never forget though where I've come from, which was very humble beginnings to what I'm doing now. So just reminding and looking at pictures. I mean, everybody has a glow up, right?
Hmm.
Nobody, you
Hmm.
think about the 10-year challenge and you just kind of, I mean, some people cringe. Some people might have been fly their whole lives. I don't know. But when I look at mine, I mean, my glasses were thick as hell
Same.
when I was in like, honestly, like in sixth grade and seventh grade, like super thick boat what are they called? Boat bottles.
Mm,
Absolutely, absolutely. So we couldn't afford the wire frame glasses, which was the cool thing,
yeah.
in the early '90s. So it's just things like that it's like don't forget where you came from, right?
Yeah.
And even when I go back home, my family's still kind of in the same neighborhood and things, and I'm like, oh yeah, 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 like I'm gonna come up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad to see it, and I love seeing, I love seeing us win, man. It means so much, and it creates possibilities. It shows things are real and achievable, and by you being a trailblazer in this space, not only is it teaching about education, about us protecting our skin, because I know in the Black community too, it's, oh, I got melanin, I'll be fine when I go out in the sun, and I'm not going to burn them. It's like, no, we still need to protect ourselves as well, and there's also the education of that part too. So, I wanted to know a little bit more about, if you've heard that before, and if you haven't, okay, then we'll move on to the next question. If you have, what kind of made you think about that?
I think we've all heard it, right? And
Yeah,
that's why we exist today.
yeah,
So my thoughts are, we're in an evolving, society. Things are changing. The price of eggs, the price of gas. how people are looking at skincare, how people are looking at their health. So at this point, it's kind of up to you, right? Like I don't
Right.
have too much to say about somebody that doesn't want to wear sunscreen. Like that's actually okay. Like it's your choice. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything in our most things in our lives are our choice.
Yeah.
So what we do talk about are the benefits of sun safety, whether that's first of all, the prevention of sunburn and melanoma, but then from a cosmetic standpoint, hyperpigmentation, evening out your skin tone, um, preventing, fine lines. And these are all the things that I think us as women of color haven't been taught because we may not be going to the dermatologist annually. And, there aren't many dermatologists that look like us. So,
Mm-hmm.
are we taking the advice from someone that doesn't look like us or isn't highly educated or trained on ethnic skin? So, again, when someone says like I don't wear sunscreen or, you know, um, I don't believe black people get skin cancer and things like that, I think my first question might be, have you gone to the dermatologist before?
Mm,
And it's more of like a medical approach as
right.
opposed to like something personal because it's not personal for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we should be concerned about our health.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think the lack of access that we've had so much also in our communities has made it kind of that way. It's like a coping mechanism too. Like, well, if I can't get access to afford a dermatologist, this is just, I got the melanin, it's going to protect me kind of thing. And it's just not even thinking, like, because we also, like you said, the representation, having people that look like you. I mean, hell, we just got band aids. I mean, band aids. And now we just got sunscreens. We're making
Yeah,
strides,
like
but
over time, from nylon stockings to band-aids. I mean, listen, in corporate it was always really challenging wearing a skirt because my legs were looking like I don't even know whose complexion those legs were, but they weren't mine. So it was like a toffee color, like a light toffee color. See, like seriously, we didn't
yeah,
have the sheer ones where it looked like, our legs were all, chic and shiny. No, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. Eczema is real too. Like I got that. My son has that. It's
Oh,
it's 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 a lot, and being able to have access to a dermatologist and being able to even just ask those questions, making ourselves think about things that we're not used to thinking about. I think that your brand is helping us to position ourselves in a way to educate ourselves also in spaces that maybe we might not be so familiar with. So again, thank you for having that vision and creating space and opportunity. um, Another question I wanted to ask you, I mean, I know that as we're thinking about, being a founder and an entrepreneur, what would you give other people of color, or just people even in general, you know, advice on? I know I had started a startup not too long ago, a couple of years back, and was doing research on understanding Black entrepreneurs more, because I wanted to help Black business owners. And one of the things I had learned was like we have been also xed out of like the business deals, like when it comes to supply chain, having to be charged more, people not really thinking about the things that operations behind the scenes of being an entrepreneur, like there's discrimination there too. And so like operating in certain spaces, it can create difficulty with surcharge pricing of certain things, and it's very hard to support black, oftentimes when we want to support black business owners, it's hard. So I say in a long-winded answer, or question, what do you feel like has been hurdles for you, and how have you overcome them, because obviously like you are overcoming them.
it's so how am I overcoming them is staying positive about the people that I may be encountering that aren't so helpful. Also jotting things down. So like, it might seem petty, but like I actually in the beginning, there were several, manufacturers and chemists that said no to us. And of course, 7 years later, they hear about Black Girl Sunscreen and they're in our inbox like,
Mm,
hey, can we jump on a call? We have whatever XYZ for you. And I'll get on the call. I'm like, hey, we spoke about, 5 years ago. Do you remember? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, let me just look at my email from 2000 and I kid you not, 2017.
Mm,
Your name is such and such, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I spoke to you.
mm,
So
mm,
that's not me overcoming anything. It's more of just like I didn't stop because that person said no. Because if you stop at no, then you're not going to get anywhere. So it's about how do you figure out the solution. Um, and that's just one example, but when it comes to like pricing and being treated differently, um, it's something that we've dealt with all of our lives, right? So the only way I think you can find out if you're being treated unfairly is to compare notes with someone, right?
mm,
So let's say a contract comes through. Okay, XYZ person, like, what are your terms? What is this person giving you? Because mine feels kind of high. So I think, shopping around to get quotes for different things can help if this is the market rate, so you're not bamboozled or tricked or overpriced for something. You don't stop at the first quote unless you don't have time. From my experience, partnerships over time grow, and on year 2 and 3, that's where I see flexibility. I don't see too much flexibility in year one because I think some people don't really understand like your potential. And I know it sounds super backwards
yeah.
because the mindset could be, hey, why don't you jump on board so we can grow together? Their perspective might be like, you might be short term. So let's just see how this goes. And then over time, it's like, all right, we see you're doing X amount of business. We can work with the prices. We can give you credit. We can give you terms. um so that's how we've been combating that, is just being around in the longevity, and having a strategy of crawl, walk, run. So we're pacing ourselves and moving to the own beat of our drum.
I love that. I love that. And walking to the own beat of your own drum. I can't even talk right now. Dancing to the beat of your own drum, walking to the beat of your own drum. It really does make a difference because, again, it's that introspection of realizing something inside of you, realizing, I have the power to do this, not giving up. I think that confidence, again, is something to be anchored on and to really commend you for, because, if you kind of like quivered back and, just kind of didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't have the opportunity to get where you want to be. Do you do any type of things to help yourself continuously pour into yourself to keep you um, moving forward? Like, do you do affirmations? Are there certain books and things that you're reading? People, like you said, people you have around you, be able to compare, pricing. Like, that's obviously having a good amount of people around you. What kind of things are you doing?
Um, I wouldn't say I pour necessarily into Shantae. I'm pretty introverted, so when I'm home, I like to be in silence and in quiet. So that's how I recharge. But prior to Black Girl Sunscreen, and the way that I actually was able to think about it and have the mental space was taking a hiatus from, I would just say, life. And not everybody has this opportunity, right? So when I transitioned out of corporate America, I didn't work for 4 months,
Mm,
almost like 4.5 months before I decided, like, okay, Shante, it's time to get back into a routine, because my thought was, okay, so we go to school from a very young age. Some of us 4, 3, okay, and listen, you're in elementary, middle school, high school, right? And then
mhm,
you may go off to college. That's 4 years. You may do, grad school, whatever it is. That's another 2 years. And so then you start working. Like, listen, no breaks, right? A
mhm,
1 week
mhm.
vacation is not enough.
Nope.
So Christmas break, not enough, right? Summer break, like, not enough. And even in these breaks, in the interim, you may be working, right? To have your
Mhm,
little monies as a
mhm,
college student or whatever it is, if you want your own things. So when I transitioned out of corporate, I said, I'm not going to work. I'm going to hike. I'm going to think. I'm going to look at the clouds. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do whatever I want, drink tea in the middle of the day, wake up at
mhm,
11 o'clock, walk my dog. And I didn't have cable, but, if I wanted to just pop it on and, watch the local stuff, that's what I would do. Talk with friends and live the life that is kind of like just being free.
Mm,
And that was the
mm,
only time that I've had to really pour in to Shantae. I love to reflect during my birthday, which is coming up in October. But it's still short lived. It's like, you take off a week, and it's like by the time you decompress and, let go and actually stop checking your inbox, you might be 3-4 days into the vacation. You go back in about three. You know what I
right.
mean? So
Yes, yes.
so it's not about me necessarily pouring into Shantae. It's just about noticing when I just need a second to regroup because I'm on this mission.
Hmm.
So as long as I'm on this mission, then I'm going full steam ahead. And my goal is okay, when it's done, then I'll be able to chill.
Yeah, yeah. But I love the fact that when you did disconnect from corporate, that you gave yourself that time because that's where Black Girl Sunscreen was birthed. And in that time that you were able to give yourself when you were pouring into you and having that free time to not have to think about all of the things. And I get it being, on the go all the time nonstop. But you highlighted a very important thing, which was like you slowed down. Like, you slowed down and birthed something, a huge success and something that our community needed so greatly, and, um, I don't know, I hope for your birthday, you take the opportunity to disconnect too and give yourself more time because just think about if you disconnect, girl, if you disconnected at 4 months now,
So
I mean,
like
not like,
like
what's gonna
here's
come now?
here's the stuff I'll do though, right? I'll have like three projects going on in my house, like redoing the bathroom, the front yard, running the business. So it's like the person that I am, it actually doesn't stop.
Yeah, I
Yes, that
understand.
time in when I was out of corporate America, but like I definitely load on the projects. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand that too. I definitely relate. I hear my kids coming in the house right now, and I'm like, "Oop, here goes the other side." Like it never stops, and I think that that's something about like working 10 times harder all the time. It's like we go go go, constant project, and people very close to me always say, "Brittany, you putting way too much on your plate," and I'm like, "I don't know how to not put stuff on my plate. I don't
why
even
do you feel like you have to do that?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like slowing down, which I'm trying to teach myself to do, is too quiet. I'm so used to the chaos. I'm so used to like go 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 because I'm used to operating at a certain level constantly, like just constantly all the time. So slowing down is like, oh, hold on. I don't. Let me get back up here and do this again. But I know the importance of being able to do that and disconnect. And so I'm trying to ground myself and teach myself how to do that actually as we speak now because mine's coming from survival mode, from traumas and stuff like that as being a kid and having kids and myself now. So, but that's a whole nother episode. So, but yeah, I definitely can relate. Definitely can relate. I did want to ask you, as you're moving forward, you're making progress. We saw you did the thing with the Little Mermaid, and that was so amazing. Be able to think about that too. It's such a great partnership there. What is your plans or your future goal? Like, what is if we had to ask Shantae right now, where do you envision Black Girl Sunscreen being? Because I remember you said you have a product and you have a business. What do you ultimately want to see out there?
Yeah, it's actually kind of hard. Not to articulate my vision, but you ever just walk up to a random person, not random, but just have a conversation with someone, and you might say like, "Oh, have you used such and such?" or "Hey, have you heard of such and such?" And it can be like something really big, like really
Mhm.
big, like, "Hey, have you heard of Nike shoes?" And they're like, "No." Well, we don't know anyone that hasn't heard of Nike, right? But my
Right.
point is, when you walk up to someone that could appear that they're using, us, meaning sunscreen for people of color, women of color, we want them to say yes, right?
Mhm.
We want them. I want to be able to walk up to Brittany Baker, not knowing you, and ask you if you wear sunscreen, and if it's Black Girl Sunscreen, and you say yes, right? We
Yeah.
want to be able to reach and touch as many people that are open to sun safety and what we're offering them. um, because now that's not where we're at yet, right? There's a certain amount of people that do know about us, and there's a lot of other people that don't actually wear sunscreen, right? So we still have a lot of work to do. We're just starting to scratch the surface, but that's really high level goal there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I love that you said that you want to get everyone to be able to, is basically being educated of that too, you know. And it's such a great mission to kind of stand for in terms of like wanting people to know about Black Girl Sunscreen and their skin health. Um, what are some of the ways that you feel like are opportunities for other people to create more inclusive ways for, you know, the beauty industry? Um, if you could give like a message to anyone that wants to maybe create, you know, I don't know, eye drops or something like that,
Yeah,
or, you know,
you
things
know,
like that.
really love that question. I feel like there's a lot of markets that us as Black people and people of color have not been able to tap into. I love all my beauty founder friends, skincare founder friends, hair care founder friends. But I shop with us. I look for us when we do events. We are supporting female entrepreneurs. When we buy products, I'm supporting female entrepreneurs, but we are only in certain markets. So how do we get in other industries, right? Like whether it's household, um, I know it sounds crazy, electronics,
Don't sound
but
crazy. It just hasn't been done yet, girl.
other things like I see celebrities put their name on furniture, right? Can we get out there so my whole my whole house might be black.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
what I would love to see, and it's like, all right. So are there words of encouragement? It's we are out here supporting you. We are out here wanting you. There is a need for you, and I wouldn't be Black Girl Sunscreen wouldn't be anywhere without our supporters. So if you have that idea, please, please, please pull the trigger because we are out here and we're hungry,
Yeah.
meaning the
Thank you.
shoppers.
Yeah, yeah. And then the founders too, hungry trying to make some of these things happen.
Yeah.
To create space. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Awesome. Well, I do want to ask a couple of questions in our rapid fire just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. One of the first questions I want to ask is what kind of books or podcasts, if you are listening to, um, reading, if not, if you haven't had time, is there a show? What are we doing these days?
Oh, goodness gracious. So you're asking me how do I take in my content, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Football season just started. So I don't know if there's any sports fans listening, but my Sundays are consumed, and then Monday night is consumed, and then Thursday night is consumed, right? Because that's when
Wow.
football plays. Yep, yep. So I do follow football. Um, I am a habitual watcher of Law and Order, and
That's
I
my
am
mom.
sad that the writers are on strike. This has been a really
Oh.
long time, so there's no new stuff on any of the streaming apps. So I'm watching legit like season one, episode one of like Law and Order,
Are
and
you the
then
SVU unit or regular Law
yeah,
and Order? Criminal Intent?
I'll do them all.
Oh, okay.
I've watched Law and Order. I've watched them all
Okay.
all of but they also kind of just like play as like background noise for me. I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, but I'm giving a little context there. And then for books, it's more about because there's no blueprint of leadership. I'll read some how to be a CEO or how to raise revenue from X to Y, books like that.
Okay, okay. Any podcasts or do you have or anything that you listen to podcast-wise? Or
Not
me?
right at the
Not
moment.
really?
I used to be a heavy podcaster, but
Okay.
not right
Hey,
now.
it's okay. It's okay. It's a coming thing. It's a coming thing. Okay. Other question that I had, if you could talk to your younger self and tell her something that you know today, what would you tell her?
There are a lot of things like, girl, you cute. Number one.
Mhm.
Um, Number two is just as much, no, I love you.
Mm,
That's it.
that hit home. That hit home for me
Yeah.
because talking to that younger self is so important. And giving her a hug, whether
Hmm.
she's 8, 10, 12, the best person to love her is you. Um, so yes, I think our listeners definitely need to hear that. And I'm so glad you're doing that for yourself, girl. So glad. Okay, last one. If you had a favorite, I don't want to ask that one. Let me change this one because I'm like, I don't want to put you in no weird position. That's not what this is about. What is your favorite food and why?
Oh, it's pasta.
It's pasta?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pasta. Yeah, it's pasta because I don't know, like it comes in like different, so you can get like rigatoni, linguine, vermicelli, whatever, and it's like a hearty meal for me.
Okay.
So typically, I don't find people like mess up pasta. I eat out a lot, so my
Okay.
go-to dish is
It
pasta.
is hard to mess up pasta. I have had it messed up before
I
though,
think
and it was not good. I was like, "How do you do that? How do you mess up
what
pasta?"
was it, soft or hard?
I don't like al dente. I mean, maybe I'm a texture person too, so like, but sometimes they just don't put any seasoning on it either, and it just tastes like noodle. And I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know. That's a whole other situation, but um it is hard to mess it up, but when they do, it's just like, did you not try it all? I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, thank
Lasagna
you.
is probably my favorite though.
Which one?
Lasagna.
Lasagna. Okay,
Like, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
lasagna. Yeah.
Okay. Maggiano's has some really, I don't know if you've ever been there before. Maggiano's has a really good lasagna. It is so good. So good. There's only one out here in Arizona, so well, thank you so much, girl. I appreciate you. I appreciate you joining us today, talking to us a little bit about your story, what you've gone through. Um, Thank you for being an inspiration. Seriously, it
Oh,
means a lot.
thank you for saying those kind words. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, everyone, we appreciate you. We celebrate you and continue loving yourself because honestly, that's the best way to go for anything that we do. So until next time, talk to you all later.